I've learned to slam on the brake before I even turn the key, before I make the mistake, before I lead with the worst of me. Give them no reason to stare, no slipping up if you slip away. So I got nothing to share, no, I got nothing to say. Step out of the sun if you keep getting burned. Step out of the sun because you've learned, On the outside, always looking in, will I ever be more than I've always been? Cause I'm tapping on the glass, waving through a window. I try to speak but nobody can hear, so I wait around for an answer to appear. Cause I'm watching people pass, waving through a window. Can anybody see? Is anybody waving back at me? We start with stars in our eyes, we start believing that we belong. But every sun doesn't rise, and no one tells you where you went wrong. Step out of the sun if you keep getting burned. Step out of the sun because you've learned, On the outside, always looking in, will I ever be more than I've always been? Cause I'm tapping on the glass, waving through a window. I try to speak but nobody can hear, so I wait around for an answer to appear. While I'm watching people pass, waving through a window. Can anybody see? Is anybody waving? When you're falling in a forest, there's nobody around. Do you ever really crash or even make a sound? When you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around, do you ever really crash or even make a sound? When you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around, do you ever really crash or even make a sound? When you're falling in a forest and there's nobody around, do you ever really crash or even make a sound? Did I even make a sound? Did I even make a sound? It's like I've never made a sound. Will I ever make a sound? On the outside, always looking in, will I ever be more than I've always been? Cause I'm tapping on the glass, waving through a window. I try to speak but nobody can hear, so I wait around for an answer to appear. Well, I'm watching people pass, waving through a window. Can anybody see? Is anybody waving back at me? Is anybody waving?
Hello everyone and welcome to yet another Winchester Wednesdays. I am your host Winchester572, and yes, here we are once again, another Wednesday, another interesting time. So yes, actually somewhat like last week, we're missing a few people, but shouldn't be too much of an issue. So anyways, oh crap, I should probably get things situated here. Yeah, because I had people here that aren't. Oh, okay. Well, this will be interesting. So anyways, without further ado, let me introduce you to the call.
It just kind of like... are you holding it for that long?
Because
He never
So I
holds it
guess
that
today's
long.
not. Oh, we're not in barbershop quartet practice today.
No.
Too much delay.
Barbershop Quartet has been rescheduled to Thursday.
Fine.
Joe is telling me to hold it longer. Okay.
No, I did not.
Hello.
I can leave right now and not come back. I can not look back.
Okay, fine.
So, yeah, it's actually interesting here today. The only person up on screen I have besides me is Mr. Cyril. But then again, he's the only one that I actually have loaded in my program to show up on there at the moment.
hello.
I could actually
Still working on his icon.
Don't worry, I have his old one to use from EOH, but
Okay.
How many times have I given you mine?
3
Huh?
ish.
So wait, should I give you the one that's the drawing that Sora made of Myosi then?
I already
sent him.
I already have all the ones that Sora sent me.
Yeah.
I just
Okay.
haven't synced them into the software yet.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because
and I have 50 more to work on. Well, not really 50 more, but I just have a few more to work on.
You have 2.
No, I have that's more. I have Cyril, which I'm working on currently. I have Rosie, and I have Marzipan.
Yeah, that's nowhere near. That's a lot closer to 2 than 60.
You know what? I over-exaggerate because I still have a lot to do.
By the way, how's my
Idiot.
badge coming?
Fuck!
Oh, I feel so bad. So, anyways,
Hey, so
without-
I'm not the one that breaks the PG rating this time.
Anyways, so without further ado, let me introduce you to everybody. So first off, we have my only lovely co-host for this particular evening, Orange Shirt Guy.
I require beverages.
You have some in your fridge.
Yeah, that's where I'm going.
Alrighty. Yeah, CMC has actually gone missing. We if any of you know the location of our CMC, please forward his location to 55555. Find a CMC.
It's .com.
Yeah,
.com,
if
yes.
it goes on for the next day, I'll just put it based on milk curtains. His OC.
Yeah, we'll start putting CMC's face on milk cartons. Anyways, next up we have our lovely fanfic writer, editor, R Force.
Wow. Wow, this is how you put me in. You're gonna just screw up on my name. Wow, what a lovely intro.
Actually,
Why you do this?
Actually, I didn't screw up on your name. I screwed up on your title.
Just as bad.
Even worse.
Anyway.
Zero understands my plight.
So next we have our lovely show artist that for some reason keeps leaving the server, Sora.
I'm sorry, okay? I tried to, it didn't happen. But yeah, hi.
You sound like you hate yourself and want to kill the entire world at the moment.
I do, because I still don't have everything finished, and I still need to do your thing, and I'm screwing up everything, and I cursed, and yeah.
Oh, that's fine. I don't fucking care.
Oh, I thought you said there was a PG rating.
PG-13.
Wait,
We always break it.
I was told PG.
I try to keep it PG-13, but if a cuss slips out here and there, I don't really care.
Yeah, just throw it in there.
And speaking of cusses slipping out without even caring, we have Cyril.
It's true. I'm here tonight.
Instead of being here in spirit like he was last week when I used his song to play us out.
Oh, I was gonna say, because I gotta tell you, by the time this show was airing, I was 4 Z's to the wind, man.
4 Z's to the wind.
I was asleep.
Oh!
Snores.
Okay.
I don't snore as much anymore, but I used to.
If there's 4 Z's in a single word, how long are you supposed to hold that when you're reading out loud? Well, how can we be so certain?
Well,
Oh,
because
wait, where
buzz.
does zine come from?
I don't. You know what? I wanted to look that up the other day. Thank you for reminding me, Sora.
You're welcome.
But
Holy crap.
Excuse me.
Damn, that was. Ooh, that touched me a little bit.
Did that get you in a good place?
Did it sensually touch you?
Yes.
Did it touch you well? Do
got-
I need to get a
it got
doll
him in
to
the good
show where it
good.
touched you?
Why do
Okay,
we need
this
a
got weird
doll?
quick.
Yeah, you just made it weird when you mentioned the doll, so that was your fault,
You
not
gotta-
ours.
You got to learn how to dance around the subject, and not invoke anything related to dolls ever.
But dolls. Don't you like clown dolls?
I hate
There is-
clowns.
there-
I hate clowns.
my fist
But
is
we still have
currently
to figure
screaming
out
its way to
what Smarty Pants is doing
Nebraska.
right now.
Oh wait, you're a Pegasus. Fuck. I mean, shit.
Yeah.
I mean, dang it.
Shit stack.
I should mistake.
Give me them fucking wings.
Excuse me, but
I hope you
he's
crash your
more than-
car, sir.
He has flown around a lot of clouds to get that title.
I did that a couple of years ago. I really rather not do it again. That
No,
was a
not
scary
you.
experience.
Not you. It's
Okay.
someone driving stupidly through my alley at like 60 miles per hour, and it's just like, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I do that all the time. It's really fun.
So Winchester, I need you to live, but I need this other guy to die. How about that? Does that sound better? Does that sound happier?
I was
if
gonna.
we kill someone on this show without CMC, will be jealous that he missed it.
I was gonna say Orange can attest to my fun driving.
What the
Get used to it. So yeah.
Anyway,
So this is what it's like having Cyril
So-
around.
Yes, this is what it's like having Cyril around, and we need to do it more.
what? So I can do random noises,
Beatboxing?
mouth noises.
Yeah.
I mean, I do the didgeridoo, but my throat is really not feeling it tonight.
Did you?
How do you tell this?
Yeah,
Don't.
I can't do it very well at the moment.
I really don't think I could. Also, I'd probably wake myself up if I did, because it's loud. There's no way to do it quietly. I might do it when you least expect it. I don't know. Maybe.
Just like
Just in the middle of the reading.
Oh God, please no. Unless it
do
calls
that.
for a didgeridoo, and then
I
I
think I
will
did that.
If it calls for a didgeridoo, I will physically pause the reading, and it better be in a place that makes sense, and somebody doesn't just add it in on the fly.
Quick, double R, add it in.
I'm
No,
trying.
it's not coming out.
Where is it? Where's it?
Elsewhere.
Shoot. I wasn't paying attention. What do you want me to edit?
No, never
We're
mind.
All of a sudden, Pinky started playing a didgeridoo. Ah, damn it, it's not coming out. I can't do it.
We'll do it at the very end.
Oh God.
Yeah. It's no, it's really
And
not
the-
coming out
and
though.
the dis-
Because
Okay.
I can't get my voice to do what it needs to do. It's been that way all day. It's poopy poop.
Poopy poop.
I can't tell if your hair is spiky or not spiky.
It looks
Good
messy.
question. Yeah, it's just messy and awful.
I was gonna say
Okay.
like he is in real life, messy and awful.
Sora's met me. I don't think we've met.
I'm getting
And
mixed signals here.
And if we have, and I don't remember, I feel like a giant asshole.
You probably met for a little while at Ciderfest.
Like last one?
Yeah,
Yeah,
last
'cause-
year.
Yeah, you weren't at this year's Ciderfest, were you, Cyril?
No,
Such a shame.
it was. It sucked. Anyway, what are we doing?
Well, we still have.
Well, I was trying to see if I could get Marzi in, but it doesn't look like she's
okay.
getting in. So,
No worries.
You have sideburns.
Yes.
So, Sora,
Yes, sir.
would you enjoy being a Fluttershy?
Okay, yeah, sure. I'm just testing all the talents tonight, huh?
A Fluttershy, huh? Is that like
she's
Fluttershy, but with...
She's also Sura.
Sura.
But too many of them.
Played by Sura.
I mean, if you really want me to.
All right, Cyril, how do you feel about Octavia?
Sounds okay.
Why is she Barney? Why is she Barney?
No,
Okay. And then double R
best princess.
And double R's worst princess, got it.
I'm the best princess to you.
So that leaves us with a Hinky Pie.
Hinky? That sounds kinky.
Congratulations,
Hey.
Oh my.
my name is Kinky Pie. Wait, what?
Pinkie Pie should be played by
Oh no.
I just love
No
torture.
choice.
I just love torturing you, and also you're like, oh crap! You actually have 4 rolls. Oh, wow.
Who has 4 rolls?
Orange shirt
What is
guy.
crawling on me?
Oh,
it's
orange
my
shirt
hair.
guy actually has the most rolls of the night.
Crawling
you know what?
in your skin.
But I think Orange has some short rolls, and also he has 2, and 2 of his rolls are male, so he should be happy with that. Anyways, without further ado, we'll get on to the reading.
Oh shoot. Okay, hold on. Let me stop. Wait. I just want to show. Cyril, where are you? Where are you? I'm gonna.
Oh, you're gonna thing. Yay.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
I'm just showing you what I have so far.
That was an explosion of letters. Now for a dramatic reading of the message I just received. HFA semicolon LKSFOIWJK. Man, that's
Alrighty, let's get this rape train back on the tracks and remove its brakes.
Also, man, that's like 1,500 times more adorable than I would imagine myself being, but that's fine. I like it.
Yeah, Sora's good at making adorable things and being adorable. So,
Wow.
No.
I've heard better.
Don't tell yourself such lies.
Sora, do I have to reach my really long arm out and poke you in the side so you squeak really cutely?
No.
You got a boop on.
Okay.
Don't do it.
Alrighty, and also I have the best way to end this part of the reading. But anyways, without further ado, let's get on to the actual reading itself. So, as people know, please keep your mics muted, and please don't try to correct other people unless it's like really bad. So, anyways, without further ado, we have "It Takes a Village" by Detter Manfred. Sora, please mute your mic.
Oh yeah, I'm trying.
Alrighty, so "It Takes a Village" by Detter Manfred. Narrating, we have myself, Winchester. Playing Rarity, we have Sora. Playing Twilight Sparkle is me, because CMC is gone. Playing Fluttershy, we have Sora. Playing Rainbow Dash, we have Sora. Playing Pinkie Pie and Applejack, we have Orange Shirt Guy. Playing Spike, we have Double R Forest. Playing Best Princess, i.e. Princess Luna, we have Cyril. Playing Falling Knight, we have myself, Winchester. Playing Worst Princess, i.e. Princess Celestia, we have Double R Forest. Playing Octavia, we have Cyril the Wolf. And playing the Ambassador and Fancy Pants, we have Orange Shirt Guy. It Takes a Village, Chapter 12. Perhaps it wasn't all that long, or perhaps he had become more patient as he grew older, which was highly unlikely. But the wait outside Carousel Boutique didn't seem to drag on and on to Spike this time around. He picked idly at his lustrous claws and watched the sun slipping slowly towards the western horizon. His seated harness lay beside him, shining with elbow grease. He was deliberately not thinking about the events of the last 2 days. Razorfang and the harpoons and the protest attempted to dance through his mind, but he methodically and stubbornly squashed those thoughts before they could consume him. He had to be calm and determined in order to get through the gala. He had to hold it together. He could occasionally make out the voices of his friends inside the boutique, and what he heard was intriguing.
Oh, do you think he'll like it? I hope he does come across as presumptuous, or worse, tacky.
I think... Twilight's voice became too low to make out.
He has such a horrible day.
Now he was really curious. He pushed himself up onto his elbows and leaned his ear against Rarity's fanciful door. It's been a horrible month.
That hasn't stopped him yet. He keeps picking himself back up again.
Rainbow Dash sounded very proud of him.
Oh, we can make tonight the funnest night a dragon ever had in the history of ever. At the Grand Galloping Gala. Pinky, you remember last time, don't you? Last time, this has got to be the best night ever. Every pony's got to be their very smiliest for him, okay? Not being all mopey and angry. Got that? Pony who may or may not be Twilight.
I just hope he doesn't think it's icky.
Ain't no difference to wearing feathers, to my mind.
I think it's totally awesome. He's been over the moon. Some ponies might find it a bit... What is that word? What is it?
Macabre.
Macabre? Oh, what the heck? Okay, yeah, macabre. I agree with Rainbow Dash. I don't think he'll be so very pleased. I do hope so. Well, every pony ready? Let's go show him.
Spike hurriedly yanked his head away from the door just in time. It opened to reveal his 6 friends dressed to the nines, their manes and tails expertly coiffed and their coats combed and curried to perfection. They walked out of the boutique in a line, each eyeing him surreptitiously for his reaction.
Surreptitiously.
Shush.
Wow, ladies, you look beautiful.
He hasn't noticed. Twilight shook her head. Her mane was twisted into an elegant knot at the base of her neck, held in place by a clasp covered in the same shimmering purple material of her gown.
Noticed what?
Come to think of it, he mused, most of his friends were wearing purple or green.
You don't recognize it.
Rarity's eyebrows shot up. Boys.
After all, he only wore it for a whole year.
The bit finally dropped. Spike's heart skipped momentarily as his eyes bugged out as he stared at them, at their shining, glittering, familiar gowns.
That's...
Dragon scales. Your old ones. You could feel his mouth hanging open like an utter fool. Rarity, Twilight, and Pinkie Pie were all wearing elaborate dresses adorned with his dusky purple scales. Rarity in a silky, jaw-dropping number accentuated with feathers around the hem and shoulders. Twilight in a darker, more severe gown with a slight scooped train, and Pinkie in pleats and ruffles so fantastical that Spike could barely believe it. Fluttershy was wearing the lighter, more delicate greens of his chest and belly, the scales affixed to a floaty gauze that drifted about her like a mist. Applejack was looking unusually chic in an elegant pantsuit made entirely of the darker green of his spikes. The high-collared shirt and golden tie affixed with an apple-shaped ruby tie pin. Her customary hat had been enhanced by a thin, glistening green-scaled band. Rainbow Dash was clad in a sparkling purple and green stripes with bright gold accents at her throat and mane. The asymmetrical skirt cut to one flank and falling sleekly and stylishly to the other side.
Do you like them?
Rarity's perfectly sculpted curl dripped over her forehead. He gaped at them a little more.
How?
Well, you did say you wanted to give your shed skins to Rarity. I'd kept them, the one from last winter. He blinked.
You did?
She looked a little embarrassed. Yes, it was a bit big to fit in the storage cabinet, so it was up in the attic for a while.
Why?
He stared at them, all dressed in his scales. I wanted, well, you see. Her purple-bound hooves glinted as she shuffled them. I forgot to keep any of your baby scales.
Anyway, darling, once you told that reporter about giving me your old scales, Twilight had quite an idea. She gave it to me to make into dresses, so that way I didn't have to wait until next winter. It would have been an absolutely fabulous PR coup for both of us, you see. I could have used them on any part of my upcoming summer range for the hoity-toity, but then Prince Celestia invited you to attend the Grand Galloping Gala again, so Pinkie Pie suggested we turn it into gowns.
As a statement of solidarity, see? I've even given fins in my name, just like yours. Only yours are green and mine are purple. And I think my mane and you don't.
Spike's eyebrows were threatening to crawl up over his forehead.
But...
You don't like it? It's offensive. It's gushy. Oh, no.
No.
A sly grin started to stretch his mouth. His friends were wearing dragon scales.
Rarity. It's amazing.
Rarity's head whipped back up. A smile began to creep over her face. She spoke uncharacteristically shy pride.
Really? Oh, I was so worried.
How did you sew it?
Well, it's shed skin, Spike. It's not the whole scale. Just the top layer. You know that.
A little transparent to quite a lot thinner. Not that it's entirely a picnic to get a needle through it. Thank goodness for industrial sewing machines, is all I can say. It was quite the challenge trying to find the appropriate lining to match your coloring and our Spike dear.
He shook his head, trying to clear the dazed wonder from it.
Those are my...
Applejack pushed back her hat and cocked one forehoof over the other, boots glinting green.
Yep, Sugar Cube, we're in your scales. You could say, you've got us under your skin.
He couldn't find enough words to tell them just how grateful he was at such an overt and public gesture of support. So he just beamed at them hugely, his heart swelling inside his chest.
I think he likes it.
Well, we should get your harness on.
Twilight spoke in a businesslike manner before looking up at his face once more.
Oh, Spike.
The very familiarity of that old, affectionate tone made his heart leap with joy.
You're wearing my scales, Twilight.
I did notice. They're lighter than I thought they would be.
Flying creature.
Well, then, flying creature. We need to get this harness on.
Her horn blazed with a corona of magic. The harness lifting into the air, Spike was still so astonished at his friend's choice of material that it took twice as long to get the harness on him. He kept swinging his head back and forth to examine each gown. Twilight exhaled in irritation.
Hold still, Spike. I can't get this buckle done up.
There's ruffles on Pinkie's, and Fluttershy's is all green.
You betcha.
Here they come! Is every pony ready?
Driving through the air was a platoon of approximately 20 palace guards, their golden livery turning into a dusky rose in the sunset. They flew in 2 rows in an ordered phalanx shape in absolute unity, every pair of wings beating at the same time. At the head of the phalanx was a dark, graceful silhouette that Spike recognized instantly.
Luna!
He half stood in welcome, his face upturned. Twilight swore under her breath as the harness buckles slipped out of her reach once more. The Princess of the Night smiled faintly as she touched down on the ground before them with the delicacy of a petal alighting on the water. Behind her, the palace guard flipped their wings to their backs in unison, their hooves clicking together sharply.
Good afternoon, Spike. You look well.
Thanks.
He glanced down at his shining scales and burnished claws. Her brow
You are all right?
He looked up again. His happiness dimmed a little.
I'll be okay. I'm still pretty shaky, but I have to keep going. To endure, like you said.
The corners of her mouth turned upwards the tiniest bit, and her eyes grew warm and approving, though she said nothing. She turned her head to the others, eyebrows raising as she took in their glittering gowns.
Twilight Sparkle. It's been some time since I last saw you. Congratulations on your last doctorate.
Thank you, Princess.
Twilight bowed her head. Luna then looked around at the others.
Applejack, Rarity, Pinkie Pie, Rainbow Dash, and Fluttershy. It is good to see you once more.
Good to see you too, Princess.
Her eyes flicked to the sky.
Are you ready to depart?
Almost.
The harness straps were cinched around Spike's waist a little more abruptly than he was expecting. He made a strangled noise of protest.
There. Ready now, Princess.
Luna hid a smile behind one silver-shod hoof.
I see.
You didn't have to do that.
You simply weren't staying still long enough for me to do up all the buckles, Spike.
Oh.
He looked sidelong back at the princess. She looked amused.
Sorry.
Well, we'd best get the show on the road.
This is gonna be weird, being flown.
It's fun. You gotta love it, Dashy.
Are you good to go, Spike?
Twilight's hoof resting on his side. Her eyes were still tight with tension, though she was obviously trying to put a cheerful face for him. He nodded and crouched down so that his friends could climb over his knee and into the seated harness. As they clambered aboard and strapped themselves down, he took a deep breath. This was it.
This is going to completely ruin our maids.
I'll fly slow.
Where's the fun in that?
Spike stood carefully, very aware of his precious burden, and turned his head expectantly to the princess and the guards. To his amazement, one of the impassive soldiers actually gave him a sly wink.
Knight? Is that you?
Sergeant Falling Knight's face was too well trained to show any emotion while on duty, but the bat-winged gray Pegasus gave a slight nod.
Sergeant Knight? I haven't seen you in years.
The sergeant coughed uncomfortably, still standing to strict attention. Permission to speak, ma'am. She rolled her eyes skywards.
How many times must I tell you, Knight? There is no need for that when it is only myself.
Got to observe the regulations, ma'am.
Permission granted.
Hello there, Spiky, my boy, and Miss Sparkle. Falling Knight spoke in a far more conversational tone, though his posture never changed. Good to see you two.
It's been ages.
Spike took an eager step towards the old palace guard. Once, when he was very young, he had spent 10 minutes pulling the most appalling face he possibly could in front of the on-duty knight, trying to get his expression to crack. Instead, he had found himself swept out into the Canterlot Gardens and deposited into a plant pot on his scaly little rump. Since that day, Sergeant Knight had always been a particular friend amongst the palace guard.
How's every pony else in the 5th?
Do you still patrol the gardens outside the library?
Yes, they're all good. Send their regards, and yes, heard you two had settled here, but haven't seen hide nor hair of you since the princess is here made their first visit to Ponyville.
He's now captain of my personal guard. Though why an alicorn needs a personal guard is still something my sister cannot answer to my satisfaction.
Wow, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And ma'am, without trying to sound rude, not even an alicorn can foresee everything that might come her way. Best to be prepared.
Well, you haven't changed.
Knight, looking amused, craning his neck up to Spike exaggeratingly. Can't say you have either.
Oh, ha ha ha. Yes, Spike got big, and he's going to get bigger. Is that out of the way now?
We should be off. It is good to see your spirits are not dampened, Spike.
Spike crouched a little, the muscles in his hind legs bunching as he readied for the takeoff.
You should have been around here earlier. You could have cut the air with a knife. A butter knife.
Twilight's hoof poked between his shoulder blades in response. Luna gave him a long, penetrating look before curling her wings spread.
Captain, if you would.
Squad! Knight's head jerking up and his chin jutting out. The platoon of soldiers stepped out of attention, kneeling slightly in readiness, wings open in unison with a snapping, rippling sound.
Whoa.
Utterly unnecessary.
Knight moved to the front of the phalanx and gave his troops a steely glare. First Division, take the lead. Privates Monsoon, Water Wings, and Zigzag to take flank along with me. Rest of you, fall in behind. We fly at Spike's pace. Understand me? Everyone. Sir!
Sir,
Sir.
On my mark. Knight's wings opened as well, knees bending in order for the first spring into the air. He looked back at Spike with exasperation. Get them things open, boy. Spike blinked and rushed to comply. The gust of air as his wings flung open blew the soldiers' manes back and a few eyes widened. Spike smiled a bit weakly. Now! Spike took a deep breath and leaped into the sky, his hind legs thrusting from the ground as he brought his wings down in a great stroke, beating them steadily. He climbed into the blushing late afternoon sky as around him the palace guards fell into position. Luna flew beside him, her long neck stretched towards the purple onset of night on the horizon. Behind his ear, he could hear his friends beginning to chatter. Rarity was fussing over her mane, while Fluttershy and Pinkie Pie were peering over his sides. Rainbow Dash was comparing him to the big old cloud that she didn't even have to move around. On his other side, Falling Knight flew with dodged endurance, his perfectly polished armor turning the color of fire in the sunset. His coppery eyes scanned the ground below tirelessly. Heard about the situation of yours.
Yeah? Which one?
That dragon challenge. You done any training?
has he ever?
Lots.
Spike puffed as they reached the zenith of their ascent. Warm afternoon breeze bellowed under his wings as he locked them for a moment, coasting gently. Good. All the lads are on your side, you know. What's that down there? His armored hoof pointed down at something metallic, ensconced in the midst of the trees. Spike squinted.
It's a signpost, I think.
That all? Knight dismissed it briskly and began to scour the ground again.
I got the note. Thank you. And if I can't do it tonight, could you thank the others for me?
Knight actually looked up at Spike for that. Boy, we didn't do it for thanks. I've seen soldiers when they're beaten down by things, fighting something they think is too big for them. Seen it too many times. All soldiers complain. Hell, that's what soldiering does to you. But when complaining becomes silence, the silence becomes hopelessness. Well, the battle's lost before it's even begun. You gotta keep morale up.
So, It was for my morale?
Knight turned back to the ground, his eyes flitting over the trees and little villages below. You know, since you were high as my knee, pulling those faces at me in the corridor, you could say that. Spike fell silent for a moment, touched to the heart.
I didn't think of it that way. Is that what I am now? A soldier?
A soldier? You? From what I remember, you didn't get up early enough to be a soldier, boy.
I get up early now. Sunrise on the dot. You try sleeping outside for a month and see if you don't.
You are fighting, are you not?
Spike glanced over at Princess Luna.
Well, I'm going to be in a fight.
No. I do not mean the challenge.
She shook her proud head.
You are fighting. You fight for the right to live your life as you wish. You fight to stay with your friends. You fight against those, both draconic and equine, that do not accept your choice. I believe that is what Captain Knight is trying to say.
Spike blinked a bit, and then focused on the nearing city of Canterlot clinging to the side of the mountain, its spires and turrets brightly lit and welcoming.
I don't know. It sounds pretty cool when you put it that way. It's not like that, though. There's a lot more horribleness and embarrassment involved.
Always is.
Those who seek to hurt and humiliate you are trying to trap you in a prison of your own making, Spike. They are trying to make you unhappy, afraid, and ashamed. Spike.
Is this some sort of weird pep talk to prepare me for the gala?
Perhaps.
Almost time for our descent.
Are you ready for the best night ever, Spike?
Is Pony Joe still open?
The captain chuckled, before regarding the Pegasi in front of them with a keen eye. First Division, prepare to descend. Make our landing on the drawbridge, in spear formation. Cloudbank rush to take point. In your own time, gentle Goltz. Their necks stretching, the leading division of ponies began to lean forward and down towards the bright lights of Canterlot. Spike hurriedly followed suit, causing his passengers to yelp as they were jerked forward.
Could have warned us.
Captain Knight was shouting it.
Spike extended himself and angled his wings to stop his dive from becoming a plummet.
Oh, why did I bother styling at all?
Spike back-winged carefully to land behind the semicircle of palace guards, who were all standing to impressive attention within seconds of touching down. The drawbridge rattled alarmingly as it took his weight, and he held his breath.
Perfect landing.
Thanks, Dash.
Beside him, Princess Luna and Falling Knight aligned and scanned the arriving guests. Most were Google-eyed at the sight of him, but one or two of the more aware ponies registered the elegant princess at his side and sank into a deep bow. The rest of the crowd soon caught on and knelt amidst the flurry of silken feathers and the sibilant whispers.
Rise, my ponies!
Spike winced. The royal Canterlot voice was hard on the ears.
Your princess thanks you for your greeting and welcomes you to the 286th Grand Galloping Gala.
Ouch. Do you think she'll get a sore throat?
Shh, come on, let's go in. Can you hold out your knee, Spike?
Spike complied, eyeing the gathered ponies warily, who eyed him just as cautiously right back. No pony seemed ready to start a fuss, so he relaxed a little as his friends dismounted.
Well, that's a nice change. I've never flown before.
You're welcome.
He still kept an eye on the crowd as Twilight unbuckled his harness and floated it to a guardhouse.
Is it a total disaster?
Birdie's hoof hovered over elaborate coiffure. He squinted, then shrugged.
Doesn't look any different to me.
It's fine. Come on! The princess is already starting to go in.
They began to enter the palace behind the stately Luna, and surrounded by Captain Knight's platoon. The great entrance hall opened up before them, full of grandly dressed fillies and gentlecolts, all waiting to enter the ballroom. Rich tapestries hung from the high ceilings and were crisscrossed with bright silk bunting. There was a color of movement everywhere, and it was all lit by the soft golden glow of great candle-filled chandeliers hanging at intervals over the central red-carpeted walk. They were greeted by gasps, and the level of noise dropped sharply. Captain Knight barked a few commands into the silence, and with a jingling trot, the palace guards lined the walls. Knight nodded to Spike once, bowed to the princess, and disappeared into the dizzying array of colors and ponies. Spike steeled himself, setting his shoulders straight and holding his chin up higher. He was what he was, and there was no denying it. Fortifying himself with the memory of his reflection in the dam, he stepped as proudly as he could after the slim, elegant figure, ignoring the murmurs and whispers that followed. As the princess passed, ponies bowed respectfully to her, resembling nothing so quite as much as the colorful flowers bending in the wind. As he passed, however, gazes turned from the floor to peer up at him in a mixture of alarm and avid curiosity.
Oh, ponies screaming.
Give it time. The night is young. Spike!
He raised his eyes to see Princess Celestia half rising from a throne on one side of the stunningly appointed double dais. She stood as he approached. Her glorious lavender eyes filled with concern. A line of ponies were arrayed before her, but she moved past them with eager tread to meet him.
Are you all right? I'm fine. It's been a long day, but I'm okay. There is no need to put on a brave face with me, my dear dragon.
He ducked his head a little.
I know, Princess. I'm sort of not thinking about it at the moment, if that makes sense.
She smiled back.
It does. I am so very glad to see you, my friend. You too, Princess.
She raised her hoof gracefully, and he took it with trembling caution and bowed over it. The whispering rose to a hissing storm. Luna stepped beside her, dark eyes warm.
I told you I would see him here safely, sister.
Celestia raised an amused eyebrow at her sitting.
Did I ever express any doubt?
Then, turning to Twilight, she smiled fondly.
Good evening, my faithful student. I like your choice of attire.
Twilight glanced over at Rarity.
It's all Rarity's doing, Princess.
Rarity gave a weak little smile.
Spectacular. You all look wonderful, and of course no pony will miss the meaning behind it, especially with Spike right here for comparison.
Rarity's smile grew a little more satisfied, and she drew herself up, her head tossing proudly.
That was the idea.
You seem tired, Twilight Sparkle.
The princess's head cocked, and her insubstantial mane rippled with the movement.
Is everything all right?
Spike stepped in hurriedly.
It's mostly me again. She's been worried out of her mind for the last 2 days.
Going clear around the twist.
I had reason.
You have the best of reasons. I'm okay, promise. Right here, can't miss me.
The unfortunate choice of words made Twilight's breath hitch. Spike flinched.
Oh, shoot. Sorry, Twilight. That was a stupid thing to say.
Twilight Sparkle. To fear the future is just as poisonous as mourning for it.
My sister has always been good at thinking long, deep thoughts. It is the smaller day-to-day thoughts that confuse her.
Tia.
Spike snickered a little, and then pulled on an innocent face when Luna rounded upon him, her expression suspicious.
Well, let me welcome you once more to the Grand Galloping Gala. I do hope you intend to liven up the festivities again.
Well, we haven't made any plans to, but those sort of things do tend to follow us around.
You said it, AJ. I will be some time, I fear.
The Sun Princess glanced back at the line before her dais.
I must greet all the guests. And little sister, I would very much appreciate your help.
Luna pursed her lips.
If I must.
I trust Pinkie Pie remembers the ballroom. I am afraid, Rarity, that my nephew is once again attending this year. Unfortunately, we have not had the foresight to lay an apple cake for you.
Rarity went pink, and then her eyes hardened.
Oh, a lady can always make do.
Spike felt a little sorry for the audacious prince at this point.
The Wormstadt ambassador is also in the ballroom. He's still very angry about the incident yesterday, and no doubt will wish to speak to you almost immediately. Right. Okay, not a problem. I'll talk to him about it, Princess. And I'll hold fast to my convictions, like you said.
She smiled up at him.
I never had any doubt of that, my dragon. We will join you when we have finished greeting our guests.
So, possibly 1,000 years. Maybe 2.
Bowing to them once more, Spike and his friends moved away from the dais and towards the ballroom entrance. Spike had never been so grateful for high ceilings and the ceremonially large doors before. The doors in question were flung wide to a scene of swirling dancers in spectacular dresses, long white cloth tables covered in intricate, delicate dishes, and sparkling glasses of honeysuckle wine, bristling waiters in dapper ties and waistcoats, and hors d'oeuvres on trays, an elegant chamber of orchestra playing from the familiar raised stage.
Wow, it's a lot prettier than last time.
Pinkie regarded the scene of her prior humiliation at the hooves of the fancy party ponies.
You okay, Pinkie?
Blue eyes rolled.
Huh. As if those snooty party poopers could keep me down. Don't be silly, Dashy. Now, what do we do first? Do you want to try every single one of those teeny-weeny posh nibbles? Or do you want to dance? Personally, I'm in favor of doing both at the same time.
Spike met Twilight's eyes, and they both began to giggle.
Pinkie, you're the greatest. Come on, every pony, let's go in. I could use a sit-down first. After all, I just got us all here.
Police! That was no distance at all.
You ever tried carrying 6 ponies?
You've carried way heavier things than us.
Spike shook his head and began to step into the ballroom.
But I didn't carry them for so...
He trailed off. A deadly silence had spread through the room at his entrance.
Head up, Sugar Cube.
The sound of his claws on the polished marble floor resounded loudly in the hush as they walked through the gaping crowd. Spike lifted his chin once more, it seemed. This to be the pattern for the night. Enter a room, shock every pony in it into silence. Well, the hay with that, he told himself sternly. He wasn't going to pay it any more attention than it deserved. He certainly wasn't going to stop a conversation with a friend. He turned his head back to Dash pointedly.
As I was saying, I didn't have to carry Tom or any of the basalt blocks from my house nearly so far. And I wasn't flying at the time.
His voice echoed through the cavernous ballroom. Surely these ponies couldn't be that shocked, Spike thought scornfully. Not if the Wormstadt ambassador was in here as well.
Are you saying we're as heavy as Tom? Spike, it is rude to speculate on a lady's weight.
Oh, I'd never try and be rude to you, Rarity.
Where do you want to sit?
Fluttershy's eyes darted about the ballroom. Spike raised his head once more and squinted about.
Near the stage? There seems to be a sort of place I can fit in that corner over there. I won't be too near the food or the dance floor. There's no doors or anything, so I won't be stopping some poor waiter from doing his job.
Right, I see it.
I'll go get us some food.
Pinky eyed the tables and rubbed her hooves. Rainbow Dash looked around at the now whispering crowd.
Hey, Applejack, I need to find Spitfire and the others. You want to come with?
Sure thing.
I must be seen with hoity for some part of this gathering, I suppose. Such a bore. Fluttershy, would you come along? I'll stay with Spike. The fashion industry and I don't get along as well.
Okie dokie Loki, guys. See you at the flashiest of flashes.
The murmurs once again grew in volume as they split up. Spike, Twilight, and Fluttershy made their way to the corner, and by the time Spike lay down on his belly, with a slight stretch and a groan, the noise level had tripled from what it originally had been.
I could really use... My throat's dry from that flight.
Go on, you two. Go get a glass of that honeysuckle wine or something. No need to babysit me.
Twilight gave him a hard look, but relented when he raised his eyebrows meaningfully at her.
Fine. I'll talk to the kitchens about getting you something as well. Fluttershy, could you give me a hoof?
Fluttershy eyed the now loudly exclaiming guests with trepidation.
I suppose.
Come on, Fluttershy. I don't want to be the only pony in sight wearing dragon skin.
Well, when you put it that way, I just hope no pony thinks I'm offering to model again.
The pair moved out into the crowd once more, Twilight depositing a final pat on his forepaw before disappearing amongst the swirling silks and deafening chatter. He could make out Rarity's spectacular coiffure in the center of an admiring audience. There was no mistaking the line that led to where Spitfire, Soren, and Rainbow Dash were talking. He knew proudly that Dash was talking to each pony individually, keeping the line moving. He couldn't see another dragon at all. This made him both disappointed and relieved. The Wormstadt ambassador didn't appear to be here, despite the Princess Celestia's warning. He'd been apprehensive about meeting another dragon, especially one that was angry with his home and his chosen land. But at the same time, it would have been nice to not be the only dragon for once. Perhaps he could have learned something. As it was, his only examples were himself and Razorfang, and Razorfang wasn't very forthcoming. Understatement of the century, he snored to himself, and several of the nearer ponies jerked away at the noise before turning back to their shouted conversations. The cello player from the stage spoke sourly.
Well, that's torn it. We can't be heard over this racket.
Sorry.
The dark maned pony looked startled at having been overheard.
Oh, well, I suppose it isn't your fault, technically.
She laid her instrument down and began to resin the bow.
It isn't like you asked to be a dragon.
It's not all bad.
His claws fidgeting a little, the cellist leaned back on her stool.
If you say so. I suppose you don't know much about music.
Her voice was dry. Her dry voice was a little hopeful.
Actually, I used to be a pianist.
Then he looked down at his claws and pulled a face at them.
Then I outgrew the piano.
She blinked and barked a short, dusty laugh.
I can see how that would have been annoying. Any favorites?
He shrugged one shoulder.
It's all music to me. I pretty much like it all.
I like Beethoven.
She spoke as though placing down a challenge. He grinned.
Nice. But I like the choral stuff way more than the symphonies. They kind of bore me.
Her eyes widened and then lit up with a glee of a true fanatic.
Well, what do you think of his chamber music?
When Twilight and Fluttershy returned, they found Spike in deep conversation with a dark-maned gray earth pony.
No. Tails of Hoofman is a better do-out. Claws down.
How can you say that? The one from Bridal of Figaro is 1,000,000, no, 1,000,000,000 times better.
The Pearl Sea Ponies.
The Magic Hoof.
Okay, I like all of them too. Let's say they're equally awesome.
What about the ballets?
Huh? Maybe Tchaikovsky? Nah, probably Prokofiev.
With you on Prokofiev all the way. Now you have good taste. I never have believed it. You must have hated that song.
We don't mention the song.
Spike, who's your friend?
Spike lifted his head to her, his eyes bright with excitement.
Hey, Twi, this is Octavia.
Hi, you must be Twilight Sparkle.
That's me.
Twilight held up a hoof to the stage to shake Octavia's.
This is Fluttershy.
Fluttershy mumbled a greeting under her breath. Twilight's mouth quirked at Spike.
So, you've been talking music ever since I left?
Yeah, and hey, Twilight, Octavia likes Merler more than jazz. Isn't that weird?
It would be if I knew who Merler was.
Do you think we could magic me up a piano someday?
Spike, I'll try my horn off. Now, the kitchen is gonna bring out some food. Apparently, Princess Luna told them about you first, and then Princess Celestia, so they've had plenty of advance notice.
Did they know that I don't eat what a dragon normally...
Spike trailed off, looking sidelong at Octavia.
Vegetarian all the way, apparently.
Live and learn.
Thanks, Twilight.
Thank the princess. Poor head chef looked like he was about to burst into tears at yet another pony asking about your food.
Huh.
Spike rubbed the back of his neck. Octavia glanced back to the stage where her fellow musicians were beginning to ready themselves again.
I better go, Spike. It's been a nice surprise and a real pleasure. I'll talk to you again soon, okay?
Come and see me anytime you're in Ponyville. I still have to convince you about rock and roll.
You're on.
She smiled faintly before turning to her music.
Of course I do.
What?
She seemed nice. Spike grinned.
It was great talking about music again. I haven't played piano in years. I wonder if Pinky still remembers the songs we wrote together.
Of course I do.
Pinky's voice came down from underneath a large platter piled high with dainty little dishes she had pilfered from the white cloth tables.
Any pony hungry?
Spike carefully took the tray from atop her head, and Pinky beamed up at him.
Phew. Thanks, Spike.
She wiped a hoof across her forehead.
That thing was heavy.
I don't think all 6 of us can eat that much.
Spike lowered the platter to the ground and delicately pinched a little roll of something fancy.
Suppose I'll have to help out.
Dragon of Ponyville Village, I request audience.
Spike started a little at the unfamiliar voice and the strange phrasing. He looked around.
Hello?
Here.
A most astonishing being stepped into his line of sight. The newcomer was definitely a reptilian, but so small, not even reaching to Twilight's shoulder. It had 2 legs rather than 4, and bronze wings covered its back like a cloak. Its skin was a coppery green with bronze highlights, and its eyes were colored of topaz. A golden torque around his neck glinted with precious stones.
I speak for she of the Wormstat. I request audience.
Spike blinked for a moment at the remarkable creature before hurriedly swallowing the tiny little knip.
Hi. Audience granted?
The small being swept his wings behind him, trailing their edges along the ground in a peculiarly submissive sort of way before he looked up at Spike with eyes full of anger. It was the only outward indication of fury concealed beneath the cool diplomatic exterior.
News of you has reached my mighty mistress. The Wormstat is not pleased with how you have been treated by the hoofs of pony kind. Dragon of Ponyville Village, she who lives longest wishes to remove you from danger.
I've heard about that. And all due respect to the Lady of the Wormstat, but isn't it up to me to decide? Well, I'm choosing to stay. My home is Ponyville, and all my friends are there. No pony and no dragon can drag me out of it.
None gainsay she of the Wormstat. You should do well to remember that dragon of Ponyville Village.
Spike's brow furrowed.
Do you have to call me that every single time?
The being looked taken aback.
So it is true. You do not know your own customs.
Hey, I know that one. I'm not supposed to hand out my name, but Dragon of Ponyville Village is one hay of a mouth. Besides, it's my name. Can't I decide who to give it to?
The little creature looked faintly bemused.
I suppose.
Good. I'm Spike.
The ambassador hissed quietly between his teeth.
You are young and foolish.
Spike shrugged.
Young, yes, but I don't think this is foolish.
There has been an attack on your life, Dragon of Ponyville Village.
Do tell.
You would be safest amongst the other dragons.
But I wouldn't be happiest. Look, I know, okay? I know the arguments you want to use. You're going to bring up the challenge, and the protest, and the stupid harpoon again. I've heard it before. But running away from my problems would be just as useless as hiding from them. It wouldn't solve anything, and it would put my home in danger.
You could carve out another territory.
No, I couldn't. It'd just be a place. It wouldn't be home.
Why stay? Why stay when there are protests and petitions against you? Why stay when the treaty has been violated and your life endangered?
Spike huffed smoke through his nostrils in irritation.
How much have you heard about me?
I have spoken to the great Sun Pony. She tells me that you insist on staying for ridiculous sentimental reasons.
She's right. I was brought up by ponies. My sister's a pony, my family, my friends. I can't be what you and Razorfang seem to think a dragon should be. I belong here, not in a cave somewhere.
The ambassador looked shocked.
The dragon of Everfree Forest gave you his name?
I don't think it's his name, actually. I think he just gave me something to call him. Something meant to intimidate me.
Nevertheless, he gave you a name. This bears thinking about.
Twilight.
Is that important?
The ambassador glanced at her.
It may be.
I hope this isn't rude, but I've never seen anything quite like you before.
The ambassador's bronze eyebrows rose.
I am a weaver, cousins to the dragons, basilisks, and cockatrices. No true dragon would ever leave their territory to undertake an ambassadorial role, and so she who eclipses the sun employs my people for the task. I am the 23rd such ambassador.
Bit rough on you, though, isn't it? Being away from home for so long?
She of the Wormstat has protected us for millennia. It is my honor to serve.
About Razorfang.
Twilight whispered in Spike's ear. He cleared his throat.
Anyway, as I said before, I don't actually know all that much about dragon customs, and Twilight hasn't found very much in her books. It looks like dragons don't willingly give out that information. Is it normal for a dragon to hate, well, explaining anything?
The ambassador's wings twitched. Then he burst out into sibilant, hissing laughter.
What did I say?
The ambassador composed himself hurriedly, smoothing back the spikes over his sleek head.
Ah, now I truly believe you were brought up by pony kind.
So they do hate explaining anything.
The wyvern gave him an amused look.
It is customary to learn through example. To explain oneself is not to only insult your pupil's intelligence, but also to hand a potential enemy tools with which to harm you.
Spike's brow furrowed.
Seems a bit cold.
It is traditional.
I don't think that'll work for me.
The ambassador looked perplexed and a little frustrated.
You are a dragon.
10 points for observation. I'm a dragon, raised by ponies, who likes explanations and wants to stay in his home.
Your egg
Was stolen almost 120 years ago. All the ponies responsible are dead.
Protests and assassinations are only the beginning. Soon the egg steam will begin. The harpoon has already been thrown.
They're only a small section of Equestria. These protesters are mostly afraid, and they probably wouldn't be if dragons weren't too proud to explain themselves once in a while. The whole of Ponyville wants me to stay. Look at my friends. They're wearing my old scales to show how much they support me.
The ambassador regarded Pinkie Pie's ruffled, gleaming outfit with some surprise.
They are.
See?
The ambassador shook his head.
That aside, it does not negate the threat to you and to dragonkind. You are incensing to the pony population with your how visible you are. You will become a rallying point. It would be better if you keep a lower profile.
Tell that to the reporters who follow me around. I didn't ask for it.
Protests will become riots, and riots will see you to death. And from there, it shall not stop. The killings will begin all over again. The black times will be upon us once more.
If you think the princesses would let that happen, you're loco in the coca.
The ambassador's needle-like teeth bared.
The treaty
has been broken, yes, by one pony. These protests and harpoons, they don't change anything.
They could kill you, dragon of Ponyville Village.
They might, but they might not. And the chance to stay with my friends is something I'm willing to fight for.
Luna's words in his mouth. They felt right. The ambassador glared at him. His reptilian face twisted with outrage.
I will be at the challenge. I will see that it is carried out in pure draconic tradition.
Look forward to seeing you.
The ambassador stalked away, his wings trailing along the marble floor. Spike released a gusty, smoke-laden breath, finally registering how tense he had become during the exchange.
Whew, that was edgy.
I don't think you convinced him.
I don't think he listens to anything any pony ever says to him. Stubborn, proud, short-tempered little...
Pinkie Pie stifled a snicker.
You are just as bad, you know, Spike.
Stubborn, proud, short-tempered, not so little.
Pride smiled impishly at him.
For a dragon who insists he isn't much of one, you're sure ticking all the right boxes.
He paused before wrinkling his nose.
But I explained myself, right?
A veritable platoon of aproned waiters brought out a great golden cauldron full of fruits and cakes, and there was an even smaller basket full of aquamarines and rubies. They were some of the most delicious gems Spike had ever tasted, and he wondered if there were a higher grade than he was used to eating. He'd met famous pony after famous pony, their names and faces and cutie marks all blurring together in his mind. Even Prince Blueblood had deigned to greet him, his superstitious sneer in place. Rainbow Dash joined them once more after speaking with all the Wonderbolt hopefuls. Her faith wreathed in a satisfied grin.
Best part of the job.
The being admired part?
Rainbow poked out her tongue at Twilight before smoothing back her mane.
Right, well, I'm gonna go find Applejack. I think I saw her bending some pony's ear about dragon-assisted harvesting techniques.
Pinky nodded.
All good advertising.
Rarity returned from her group of admirers, her eyes sparkling.
Oh, darlings! Fancy Pants just asked me to dance. Me! Oh, it's so exciting. Now, how does my mane look? Does it look all right? Is it the Brussels straight on my gown? I mustn't be a must. Oh, I mustn't look unapproachable. Oh my God, I must look unapproachable either. Has my mascara run? Has he gone into some wine? I hope I remember all the steps. His assistant is so glamorous. I can barely breathe in front of her without feeling like some silly country filly. What if I'm oh my God, whew. What if I tread on his hoof? I'd be laughingstock of the gala. Oh, girls.
You're lovely.
You'll be fine, Rarity.
Pinky.
Ooh, has Rarity finally found her prince?
Rarity flushed prettily.
It's only a dance.
She then tipped her head back and let out a squeal of joy.
Fancy Pants himself wants to dance with me!
Spike swallowed painfully.
That's great, Rarity.
Twilight shot him a sharp look.
Have fun.
Oh, Spike, he's coming over here. He's terribly impressed by your scales, you know. Every pony has been asking me questions about them. I've never had so much interest in design before.
Miss Rarity?
Rarity froze, eyes glowing.
Fancy! Do please call me Rabbit.
Fancy Pants' monocle, urbane expression, firmly in place, levitated a glass of wine over to her.
Of course, Rarity.
Rarity giggled, her face turning a delicate shade of pink, and took a large gulp.
Fancy, you remember my friends Pinkie Pie, Twilight Sparkle, and Fluttershy?
My dear ladies.
Fancy gave a graceful bow before giving them all an utterly charming, handsome smile. Spike absolutely hated him.
You all look divine. Your work, dearest Rarity?
Oh, well, yes.
Stunning.
Rarity fanned herself with one hoof.
Oh, very kind of you to say, but they wouldn't be half of what they are without the scales. And on that note, Fancy, let me introduce you to my good friend Spike.
My good friend Spike.
Pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Fancy Pants bowed to Spike before standing straight and smiling once more.
I've heard so much about you, dear fellow, but these tales certainly don't do you justice. Your coat is simply astonishing, and in the talented hooves of our own lovely Rarity, why, it's going to completely revolutionize fashion as we know it.
Oh, she's amazing.
Spike's heart felt heavy in his chest.
Truer words were never spoken. I hope you don't mind, ladies. Good sir, if I monopolize your lovely friend to take for a time longer, the band is playing divinely, and I would be a scoundrel indeed if I did not accompany such a beauty to the dance floor.
Rarity quivered before cautiously laying a hoof on his. Spike watched the handsome, sophisticated pony escort Rarity amongst the dancers and sighed longingly.
Twilight.
Stupid mute button! Are you alright, Spike?
He nodded before closing his eyes.
I suppose it was going to happen someday. Fluter.
She never intentionally hurt you.
Fluttershy's wing brushed his forepaw.
She's just so excited, it's bubbling out of everywhere.
She's a pony. I'm a dragon.
Twilight pressed her head against his face.
I love you. We all do.
Rarity, too. I suppose it's not in a mares and stallions sort of way.
It was never going to happen, was it?
Spike asked of no pony in particular, and then rubbed one forepaw roughly over his eyes.
It was just a dream.
Dreams hurt when they break, but then you dream another one.
Spike clenched his fangs and looked out over the dance floor, where elaborate purple curls bent close to an elaborate blue mane.
She's so beautiful.
Then his mouth quirked in a wary, pained smile.
She's so small.
We all are, compared to you.
Spike took a deep, shuddering breath.
I guess I've known her for a while. She knew after all, and she never said anything.
It doesn't mean she cares for you any less.
Twilight pulled back to look him in the eye.
It's only a dance.
Doesn't mean she can care for me anymore either. My good friend Spike.
Oh, you poor thing.
It's just a silly fool crush.
Spike shook himself, trying to will himself into believing it.
Just a crush.
This can't be easy. You've had a crush on her for forever.
Forever.
Yes, thanks, Pinky.
He swallowed against the huge lump in his throat.
She's a pony. And I'm a dragon.
I'm so Spike.
Twilight nuzzled his cheek once more, her eyes dropping in sympathy.
First time I saw her, I thought she was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen.
He smiled nostalgically at the memory. Then he sighed once more. Despite all the times he'd told himself otherwise, it did matter. And he'd always known it. He'd always loved her, his first crush. But it would always be some time before this sting faded. He bade a bittersweet farewell to the Rarity in his memory, the Rarity of his childhood. He gave that dream Rarity a final wistful look as she twirled radiantly around the dance floor on the hoof of the handsome, charming stallion. She looked so happy. She would always be special to him. She'd always be the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen. His heart squeezed painfully as she giggled at something fancy whispered to her. His heart squeezed painfully as she giggled, turned his eyes away for a moment before pulling himself up straight and setting his chin firmly.
She looks so happy.
She's one of your ponies and always will be.
Spike's eyes narrowed on Fancy Pants and he growled.
You better be good to her.
Twilight pulled back from him, her eyes surprised and wondering. Then she laid her hooves on either side of his face and squeezed with sudden intensity.
I am so proud of you, Spike.
He gazed back at his tiny big sister and gave a short, melancholy laugh.
I'm pretty proud of me, too.
Alrighty. And with that... Oh, damn it, I forgot to end it. Oh, well.
It's over!
No, that wasn't what I was going to do.
Oh. I mean, I assumed. I was just...
Here. Double R, read the last line again.
I'm pretty proud of me, too.
And then the murders began.
It's supposed to be the second line of the novel. That story took a dark turn real quick.
Somebody call your WTA.
I'm not laughing, I'm crying.
Sorry, you did great.
No, it's not even like the reading. It's just my hand hurts really bad. Paper's evil, guys.
This is why you should go digital. Just go digital all.
I have like 4 cuts on my left hand. They're like on 2 of my good fingers.
What have you been doing that you've been cutting your fingers?
Playing with paper.
Why are you playing with paper?
I was working on something.
CMC, quit torturing Sora.
Was that origami stuff I hate so much about?
I actually have tears, guys. Oh my god.
Oh, that sucks.
I was going to say I have knives and I don't cut myself
Hey,
that
look
way.
at that, Sora. You put your blood, sweat, and tears into this.
Oh my god.
Skyrays, you were gone for the whole fic. You're not allowed to be here. Leave.
Yeah, go away, Skyrays.
Well,
That's
I'm
terrible.
sorry. I was out at work. I'm sorry.
No,
Yeah, well, you weren't part of the reading.
Good
that reminds
excuse.
me. I was playing a gig last weekend.
And you were out for the whole reading because I saw when you joined in chat.
Yeah, I feel that pain though, because like I was doing playing a gig last weekend and I hit my bass so hard that I not only caused my right finger to just swell up like a balloon, but I also had like a nerve. I had a nerve or something. My entire right arm was just like dead for a day and a half.
At
Sucked
Cider
butts.
Fest, there was I think it was when Forrest was, or when they were doing the encore or whatever for Forrest, and so everybody was like clapping or stomping or whatever. Well, I was right next to the stage, so I was pounding my fist as hard as I could on the stage, and I was hitting with my hand. Well, one time I missed, and I hit that little wrist bone right on the corner of the steel piece of the stage.
Ouch.
And I was
Ouchie.
and like my hand did that thing where it like curls into a claw and like you can't move it. You're just
Anyway.
like, oh god.
Don't suffer for your art, kids.
And if you do, make sure to put your entirety of your blood, sweat, and tears into it because that will be
God damn.
Sora, I better get authentic tears or blood in my...
I'm just happy it's not September. Oh no, that's Earth, Wind, and Fire. What's Blood, Sweat, and Tears?
Wait, it
It's a
has
band,
to be
right?
Virgin Tears and Virgin Blood.
Well, I'm neither of those things.
Blood, Sweat, and Tears is a song, I believe.
Oh yeah, no, there's a band too. They were formed in the '60s, so I was right. They didn't do September.
Wait, take
No, that was
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Tombstone.
Different set of 3 shits.
I'm gonna go jump off a cliff now.
Please don't.
Oh, that's right. Jaco Pastorius was in that band, and he was an amazing bass player in the 70s. That's why I know them.
I don't understand how this happened.
I mean, paper does cut.
Do you need a pile of Band-Aids?
I literally have 4 on my fingers.
Oh, no.
I think we should just take bandaging tape, wrap them all around your hands until you just have mitts.
So I've only got a paper cut, I think, twice. And
I used to keep going.
And like both times were with like extreme circumstances. I think it was because I cut my hands up so much, the skin on my hands is rough enough that it just can't be cut as easy.
Whenever
like
I was a
Orange Shirt
kid,
Guy's
I used
knuckles.
to cut my hands all the time with paper. I always had, like the paper covers they put on tables at fancy restaurants?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I would always put that in between my fingers and rub it back and forth, and it would always put cuts in between all my fingers.
Well,
And I did that all the time as a kid. I don't know why.
The worst cuts I ever had, and I know Orange Shirt Guy can attest to this, was when I was working at the trailer shop, and I was cleaning out and servicing trailer wheel bearings all day, and the hubs have really sharp edges on the inside from casting, and so but you had to take your fingers and scrape out all the grease from the inside. So
I'll be right back. Sorry.
Okay. But I'd have all these cuts from, like, basically paper cuts on the ends of my fingers from swirling them around inside these hubs with the sharp metal.
Jesus.
Yeah, and it was
mean,
hilarious
Celestia.
one time when I went to work on Orange Shirt Guy's Duster, and his dad handed us a pair of nitro gloves, and I said, "This is stupid. Throw them away," and just hit him. Just like.
Wait, should Cyril give a shout out since he needs to get going?
Oh, right.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm just like super tired. I have an extra hour on y'all for the most part. Anyway.
Well, I think I'm going to be wrapping everything up here soon. So,
Okay.
anyways,
I mean,
thanks
go
for
ahead.
everybody. Thanks everybody for being around. So we'll start out with shout outs. So since he needs to leave, we'll start with Cyril.
I appreciate it. I am going to shout out and shoot. I lost because there was a YouTube channel. Oh yeah, so there's a YouTube channel called Become the Night. And I don't know if I can link it, but it's become like Night, Knight, and he's a music channel, and he does what he calls Song Suggestion Fridays, where he takes suggestions from his audience and reviews songs based on being a music snob, basically, which is fine. But I've just discovered a lot of interesting music, hearing him review it, and he also suggests songs to people. So it's interesting stuff. I mean, though he's a music snob, he's fairly honest about it, I guess. Like, not pretentious, oddly enough. It's weird. But I enjoy it, so figured I'd pimp it out.
Alrighty. And let's see. Next up, we'll go with Skyrays.
Shout outs to work for sending me all the way out to Glenview, an hour and a half away from where I live, to go tell a bunch of guys that I don't need to do anything for them.
Alrighty,
Yeah.
and next on to Double R.
Shout outs to having to get 2 jobs to earn enough money to get out of the house, and Celestia being best princess.
It's Luna. You spelled Luna wrong.
No, I spelled it correctly.
No, you said Luna incorrectly.
No,
I'm sorry. You all said Princess Derpy wrong.
Derpy is worst pony.
The best princess.
Derpy is worst pony, worst princess, worst being in Equestria.
Wow, I wouldn't go that far.
You're right.
Someone's salty.
Yeah,
he is.
Why doesn't Derpy have parents, huh?
Why doesn't Scootaloo have parents?
Anyways, next on to Orange Shirt Guy for shoutouts.
Shoutouts to bread, because I fucking want it.
And go to bread.
I was gonna say I can go to Walmart and get you a nice big French loaf.
The biggest of French loaves.
Do you want a nice juicy sausage to go in that too?
No, just the bread.
All right.
Why am I tearing this as something else?
Because you're weird.
Yeah,
Yes,
so true.
You are.
But you all still love me, right? Right?
Yes,
And on
Spike,
that
we love you.
I'm sorry, I was trying so hard to stay silent there. Yeah, we love you.
Oh,
That was the best silence ever.
Is Sora back yet?
Not yet.
No. Damn it. So I guess CMC, while we're waiting for Sora to get back, we can go on yours and try to keep it short and sweet with the other events, please.
Fires, explosions, Mountain Dew, insanity, LOE. So Thursday nights apparently Silent does stuff over on his Twitch channel. Friday nights, we should be doing RPG sessions. I'm not sure. Saturday nights, hello Echo.
That means Sora's back.
I can't do anything about it.
Okay.
hey, at least you didn't get like cuts like say like a scrape on the collarbone, and not have that thing break a few months later, and then of course bleed for 4 hours straight, and you have to stay up all night.
Hey, at least you didn't have an air compressor fall on your knee.
So should I keep going and just get? I will. So Saturday nights we got Creatures Gaming Meltdown. He usually does bad games and tortures himself through them. Sunday afternoon, starting about 4 p.m., Circuit does his own Let's Play. And then Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, we've got the flag stuff with Coal Dust. It's insane, fun. I don't remember exactly what we're planning this week, if we've even planned yet. And then at 9, we've got the Brony Show, which is your stop for lots of Brony news and stuff. And then after that, we've got Circuit's Coffee House After Party, where it's just chillaxing, watching random videos. And then there's nothing on Tuesday, but you should go find Thursday's stream and just go make fun of them. And then Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern, you can just come here and make fun of these crazy folks. Like this Winchester guy. I think he's some weird, crazy, funny guy. I don't know. I think you should just laugh at him.
I wouldn't necessarily say funny, but
he's
crazy.
A Confederate hick. That's what he is.
Well, you're not totally wrong. Anyways, since she's back now, on to Sora.
Huh? I don't even know what we're doing.
Shoutouts.
Shoutouts to paper companies. You fuck you. Yeah, that's my shout out.
And congrats, we've just got a copyright strike.
Did we actually?
No.
Oh, I was like, what?
Yeah. Alrighty, so my shoutouts. Thank you all for showing up. It's been great. Yeah, so, and I don't know. I've been thinking about maybe doing some changes in the future. I've been thinking about going to readings every week. I'm not quite sure though.
Oh.
It's just, yeah. I mean, we might throw a game in every once in a while, but
Yeah.
I mean, Winchester Wednesdays has sort of gotten this reputation as the reading stream. So, yeah. But anyways, also don't forget to tell all of your friends about this because, yeah.
Don't forget to vote.
Yeah, painfully small audience, and we could use.
Yeah. So yes, please tell all your friends, get them to come here, to tell them it's like something not related to ponies if they don't like ponies, and get them to come anyways.
Anything to alleviate my illusions of self-grandeur.
Tell him it's a Christian reading stream.
Yeah, don't say that one.
I take highly offense to that.
What? No, orange shirt guy happens to be a Bible thumper. I don't know if that's the word he uses.
Oh god.
We can say that this is a Christian stream since it is Christian approved. I mean, unless you're Catholic, and fuck you.
No.
Oh no, it's a Catholic church.
Anyways, without further ado, I know that this was like last week, but yeah, we'll get something all Halloweeny up in here because I don't care. Anyways, thank you all for showing up. It's been so much fun. Everybody say goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye!
Good riddance. And I just realized that was up the whole time. Oh, fun. I am stupid. Oh, I don't think I put anything up too weird. Just scrolling through tons of emails.
Oh, thank you for looking after my library now that I'm going away, guys. Oh, it's no problem. Yeah, so, do you want me to walk you around? Oh, no thank you. I've got legs. That's not what I meant, but, well, there isn't a whole lot you need to know, or to do. Oh, except for maybe one thing. On the wall here. This button. Do not touch it under any circumstances. It will open that box over there, and you do not want that to happen. Okay, good. So, well, I need to fare now, but goodbye. See you in a week. Wow. This is... Ah, my legs! Uh-oh.
Thank you all for showing up. This is Winchester 572 going 10-7. I'm out. Bye-bye.